Well, it's time now for Media Watch, and I'm joined, of course, by James Creedon. James, great to see you. And we are talking, of course, about Theresa May's visit here to Paris and Berlin yesterday.
That's right. And for Le Monde, this is a case of Theresa May playing Angela Merkel off François Hollande. So that's the opinion of Philippe Bernard, the London correspondent. And he's saying, look, it's interesting that she's not just dealing with Brussels on this one. She's dealing with Berlin and with Paris, who are perhaps not 100% singing off the same hymn sheet. In any case, Merkel seemed to say all of the right things yesterday, according to this analysis in Le Monde. She said delaying activating Article 50, which will, of course, kick off the exit negotiations or the Brexit negotiations. Delaying it is entirely understandable, said Angela Merkel, sounding very clement and understanding. Paris has been saying something very different. François Hollande said any such delay would have to be justified because, first of all, we were hearing Article 50 would be activated in October, then it was November, then it was December, and now Theresa May is saying not before the end of the year. So Paris isn't too pleased about that. Merkel was sounding much more approachable and friendly in that regard. Angela Merkel also said yesterday that London and Berlin work on a similar on the basis of similar convictions, and this proximity will inform Brexit negotiations. That was being interpreted as a reference to the UK and Germany being more free market friendly than France, which has its tradition of dirigisme or state involvement in investment. So Merkel saying all the right things yesterday. François Hollande also sounding relatively friendly today, despite being a bit firmer.
Interesting take from the UK newspaper The Guardian, though. They're warning May to beware of Angela Merkel's honeyed words.
That's right. So she was like, don't worry, Theresa, take all the time you need. Also saying, we two daughters of vicars will find a mutual understanding. So really, I mean, it sounded very friendly indeed. But for Matt Kvortrup writing in The Guardian, it's all bluster and show. This is how Merkel operates. And there's even a verb for it in German, which they've developed, called Merkeln, which means to Merkel, and that actually means to delay, to wait for a period of time. In other words, this if the Article 50 doesn't kick in straight away, no big deal. She'll weigh up all of the options and then act ruthlessly and irreversibly. That's the reading of The Guardian on this one. And so essentially, when Article 50 is invoked, all of the rules will have to be followed, Merkel said, almost as an afterthought yesterday in Berlin, which means a strict application of a 2-year time frame for those negotiations. It would also mean that Merkel would probably be quite intransigent on for access to the single market. Free movement of people would have to be a condition, and also the UK would have to continue to pay into a European budget. So from his reading of things, she's not going to be easy to deal with on that. There was even a little anecdote in this article where Merkel, when she divorced her first husband, apparently he didn't see it coming at all. Like the unsuspecting former husband, Britain may find that the divorce from Europe comes quickly and that Merkel suddenly pounces and leaves us behind lonely and impoverished. Apparently what happened is she was sounding very reassuring, and then she slowly but surely made up her mind and left like that. And he didn't see it coming. So apparently that's something that could inform Berlin's attitudes to Brexit. Not sure how.
So she may look cuddly, but she has a killer cobra strike.
Absolutely, behind the smile.
The Spectator's looking at why Theresa May is threatening to kick out EU nationals over Brexit.
That's right. So actually, France is pretty much agreeing with Berlin on the whole idea of free movement of people is a condition for staying in the common market. So playing Berlin and Paris off each other.
The whole thing that everyone who wanted out of Europe wanted that very thing to happen.
Right. So the divisions really aren't all that clear. But Theresa May is basically playing the same game in terms of EU nationals and their staying in Britain. So from her point of view, that is now an open question. The Leave campaign said there will be absolutely no change for EU citizens already lawfully resident in the UK. In other words, it won't affect the 3 million EU residents. But Theresa May is saying, hey, hold on a minute, this is an open question. So it is a bargaining tool for her, and for the Spectator here, this is really unacceptable. It is winking at nativist thugs and graffiti writers. It is hard to believe that Theresa May intended to create such uncertainty. She can and should end it in an instant. But what we're seeing here is the opening sort of round of negotiations. Even if Hollande is saying Article 50 will have to be kicked off and there's no pre-negotiations, negotiations will start after Article 50. But really, this is what's happening here. The groundwork is being laid out, and the chess pieces are being sort of put into place, if you like. And for Theresa May, the fate of Polish nurses and German academics, as it's being put here by The Spectator, is actually up for grabs. They're being held hostages, even, you could argue, or The Spectator is claiming.
Interesting times across Europe right
Indeed.
now. James Creedon, thank you very much indeed.